You know who told us he was going to be a dictator on day one, and damn if he isn't a dictator. He got back into office, and his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, just added more fuel to the fire. Take a look.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
I haven't really thought about it. We have some very good people, as you know, but I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? You'll have to tell me.
One theory on how you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not, it wouldn't be right.
So, just so we're clear, you have nothing to say about any of this. Just understand that, okay? Republicans have pretty much given him free rein up till now. Are they going to let this happen? Are y'all going to let it happen? Just asking.
Listen, there's certain people in Trump's orbit who, when they tell you what they're going to do, I really listen, and I would put Steve Bannon at the top of this list. He's somebody who has been one of the senior-most advisors to Trump since the first time that he ran. He predicted the events around January 6th, the efforts to overturn the election. And I feel crazy because I feel like a conspiracy theorist talking about this. I asked Justice Sotomayor when she was here, and people were like, oh, that's so wild. But here's the thing. This is a person who's been right before saying it. The president himself isn't ruling it out. Now, what I would say is this. There's two ways to do it, but I think he's going to go for the third way, which isn't technically the way you would do it. You would either need a supermajority in Congress to pass a change to the Constitution, or you would need 2/3 of states calling for a constitutional convention to consider making this change. I sort of think that he's going to try to challenge it through the courts on the grounds that it wouldn't be consecutive terms. And so to kind of parse the language within the Constitution to say that he actually could do this. And with the makeups of the courts where a lot of judges are in power because Trump put them there, it's possible that they perhaps could rule in his favor. So I say don't rule out what he is saying. I also know Donald Trump well enough to believe this is not a guy who's going to be a lame duck after the midterms. He's not going to be like, oh, let all the center of gravity shift to J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio while he fades into the distance. So it's something to keep an eye on. I find it concerning.
Did you see Marco Rubio's face in that video?
I mean,
he looked like a hostage.
He's
like, wait, you mean I'm not next?
I know, like blink twice.
But, you know, go ahead.
Can I, to Alyssa's point, I always thought, okay, the 22nd Amendment is so clear. You learn in law school, no president can run twice because it really came into effect in the 40s after LBJ had like 4 terms.
Roosevelt.
And FDR had 4 terms, and then you had like the other one, Truman, who didn't run for re-election but kind of said that he could. And so we put this into the Constitution for a reason. But when you asked Sotomayor that question, she said, well, it hasn't been tested. And that told me everything that I needed to know because I think that she is a very faithful constitutionalist. I think that she also understands that the Constitution can be interpreted as a living and breathing thing as opposed to just sort of this thing that was written eons ago. And so I think, you know, many people who say there's no way he would do it, well, those are the same people that said the Supreme Court is never going to get rid of Roe v. Wade. Those are the people that said things like, he's never going to have these mass men disappearing people all over the country. Those are the same people that said, oh my goodness, are you kidding? He's never going to get rid of the Rose Garden. He's never going to get rid of the East Wing. He's done everything that people thought that he would never do. I actually have come to the conclusion that he is most definitely going to try to remain in power because remember that East Wing, it's going to take a long time to build that. He is hooking up the White House because he doesn't plan on leaving it.
Well, I told y'all that. I told y'all that years ago. That he had he was not going anywhere. He said it. He said, I want to be president for life. I heard him say it. I watched his lips move, and I thought, He means this.
Yeah.
You know, the ironic part is, though, there were a lot of people who thought Joe Biden was too old to run. Donald Trump is already the oldest president ever elected in history.
79 or 80?
He would be 82 in 2028. We've all seen the swollen ankles. We've all seen the bruises on his hands. You know, this is a man who is showing his age and the health issues that often come along with being elderly. But look, part of the reason we're talking about this, and part of me always thinks they want to own the liberals, they want to troll us, they want to trigger us, all of those things. But that doesn't mean we don't take him seriously.
Yeah.
And part of the reason he's done crazy abuses of power is because he can. Because he's getting away with it without any pushback or oversight from Republicans. Now, I will say, I have seen some Republicans on TV who make a living sucking up to Trump daily, saying that they would be against him violating the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, which says that it's only 2 terms. It doesn't say it has to be back to back. It says only 2 terms.
That's right.
And, you know, this is a guy who's got authoritarian envy. He goes around to these countries and he loves he wants the parades, he wants the arches, he wants the ballrooms, he wants to be an emperor, he wants to be an authoritarian. Paying no attention to the Constitution, that's the way Ortega does it, that's the way Chavez did it, that's the way Maduro does it, that's the way Putin does it.
Putin's been around forever.
Right, so, you know, I would say do not fall asleep on this. And Republicans, if you don't want every single Republican, elected Republican should be getting asked right now, would you be in favor or against Donald Trump running for a 3rd term? And if they say if they don't say anything, if they don't answer, vote them out.
It honestly doesn't matter what they say, because we also heard that when President Trump, if he was elected, he would not pardon the January 6th violent offenders. And the first thing, he barely sat down in the seat and was like, yeah, get them all out. Like, so I don't believe anyone, regardless of what they say. I tend to believe that this would be stopped even in the courts, because the spirit of it was that someone doesn't have that kind of power, whether consecutive or not. So I would hope that if it goes to the highest court, it would hold. But 80% of Americans oppose this. 80%, only 18% support it, which it's not a popular move. But I would also say it's coming up right now to look away from what's not popular for him right now, which is this shutdown. This shutdown, we're going to be talking about eventually the well, the Epstein thing is forever the umbrella that we run from. But we've got Epstein, the shutdown. We're having air traffic controllers that are going into whatever week of not being paid. Holidays are around the corner. Every person that relies on food stamps can't eat in a few weeks. Like, all this stuff's going on. So this kind of, I do think they're trolling with the timing of the conversation. We've got a minute. We don't need to be talking about it right now. But it's more popular than what's actually going on the ground.
And can I add one thing? Because Sarah makes an important point. All 3 of the scenarios I laid out would still require him to stand for election. And so there would still be the power that the voters would have. So say if the Supreme Court ruled and he was able to be the Republican nominee for a 3rd time, there would still, I believe, be an election in this country.
What about
This
if
is
he
why I love
militarizes
y'all.
everything?
I'm not going
What if he
there today.
militarizes
Listen,
everything? He's
listen.
sending the National Guard in. What if he
He
does
is
that?
not. He's going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to try everything he can do. And he doesn't care what we think. He's going to do this. He's going to write something and say, and he'll say, I found a loophole, and so I can do this. Not consecutive doesn't really matter. If he wants to do it and there's no opposition, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
There needs to be opposition. People have to make decisions around the country about who they're voting into office. Are they voting into office people who really want the Constitution to actually work for us? Or are they sitting tight thinking, okay, this is going to work for somebody soon. Hope it's me.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to know until we know. And that's always the bitch.